in this endgame with 4 versus 3. And maybe we can backtrack. It looks like knights and bishops are about to disappear from the board. How did we get here? Magnus's king is suddenly so active. I said it before, somehow his pieces just land on good squares in these endgames, and he's forced the issue.
Wow, but actually I think Gukesh has made a big mistake. He wasn't listening to you with this bishop d7 e5, and he went for some direct action with bishop e4, king h2, rook d3, king g3, relying on this spin that he's trying to push the pawn with f5. So it was a very concrete idea, which however backfired because, wow, white had this devilish little move king f4, so easy to miss because automatically in your mind you calculate that after f5 white has to trade, of course, on f5, and then after bishop takes f5 it would be a different story, the bishop stays alive. But Magnus has started with king f4, the bishop is attacked on e4, you can't take f takes g4, and after the move f6, g takes f5, bishop takes f5 is some kind of a dream scenario. I mean, this is almost a dead draw. Yeah, Magnus captures that bishop.
Yeah, I mean, what does he miss here, Gukesh? Maybe it was just that king f4 move. But this is a cautionary tale not to rush too much in endgames. At some point, you will get an opportunity to be concrete. But it feels like he definitely just a bit premature what he went for with this f5 break. And Peter, what would you do here? I'm wondering whether you can even take on f5, but f3 looks like another way to do things.
Well, rook f5 is dangerous, yeah? Then rook d4 check, king e3, king takes f5, king takes d4. I mean, certainly this is not a position you feel that it's a dead draw. It looks like it should be lost and it might be a draw by miracle. And seeing that this should be a technical draw. Yeah, I mean, white has also some ideas like trying to check on the g file. I don't know exactly if rook c8, rook g8 or rook c1, rook g1 is correct. Giving up the h3 pawn, grabbing that f5 pawn could also be some kind of an idea. f3, the one you mentioned, also feels good enough. On the other hand, Magnus has all the time in the world at the moment. Yeah, they have reached time control. So if he feels like he has the nerves of steel, then he might get into calculating this pawn endgame. After all, it could be a forced draw if it's a draw.
Yeah. I mean, knowing Magnus, I think he'll play f3. I just think suffering is, or needing to calculate when the margins are so narrow, that's not what he enjoys, really. So, yeah, I mean, f3, just keeping the pawns intact. I don't see any winning plan for black there. Just kind of walking back with the white king if necessary. Black has no passed pawns, after all. The other lines, at least you have to calculate, right? At least you give black some hope there.
Yes, okay, something like this, yeah. If it would be a blitz game, we would be thinking, or a bullet game, that okay, there are some practical chances in the classical game. We both understand that, yes, this should be a dead draw.
Yeah, the only thing is not to go too passive, allow black to kick you back, start walking in with the king maybe. But even then, it should still be a draw. Yeah, maybe we can show rook takes f5. That variation you mentioned, just in case Magnus is feeling in the mood to really force it out.
Well, I have to say that you were the one who mentioned it first, because I don't have the nerves to go for such king pawn endgame.
I must admit, I hallucinated first of all. I thought black had to play king h4 here, but then the king was on f5. I was like, wait, what? So king f4.
Yeah, so king f4 would be the natural. Now, it seems like black is winning because it's shouldering white's king, but white, apparently, according to computer, is in time with king d5. And if you start calculating the lines, they don't look that scary anymore because white's king is way too active and it's about the h pawn. Let's just see some ways. Yeah, if black pushes h5, king e6, f5, king f6. Just if we play some very natural moves, h4, king g6. And be careful if black is the one who is trying to be aggressive. Okay, he's still drawing, but this isn't the idea that black is dreaming of. All right, then maybe the position is the draw, but I still don't see Magnus going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as well, another reason not to even calculate rook takes f5 is the fact that black can take on h3 and the game goes on. That one should be quite a basic draw in the initial position, but yeah, I think I'd be reluctant to, even if I spent 10 to 15 minutes calculating, I would be nervous about taking on f5, just in case you've miscounted or miscalculated something. So f3 just feels like the safer way. Or one of the moves you mentioned, rook c1, that type of thing.
Well, rook c1 was my original idea, and Magnus goes for your move f3. You just know Magnus way too good. Very quickly, to highlight what I was actually thinking about, and afterwards I was regretting, because rook c1, rook takes h3, rook g1 check, king f7. I can't really take on f5 because of rook f3 check, and then it's a theoretical draw, but practically speaking, this is very annoying. So of course Magnus goes for f3. There we have the live action. f3, I guess. Yes, exactly. We saw all the moves that we talked about. f3, rook d4 check had to be played. King g3, king g5 had to be played. So these moves are blitzed out, and Magnus goes for the second rank defense with rook c2. He's inviting f4 check, king g2, king h4.
Yeah, I guess in that case it looks like black's made great progress, but white can just wait. I guess you can just kind of hang around on the second rank with the white king. Black's only winning attempt will at some point be to bring the black rook round to the g file, but I don't think that will be quite quick enough. White will, I guess, after a move like king h2, rook d5, king h2, will just say, okay, it takes you too long to come around for my pawns. We'll never be in time. And we might get something like this on the board. Okay, Gukesh has gone for h5 rather than f4 check, not committing yet, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, so let me get the current position. Yeah, h5, Magnus just waits with rook a2. I still feel like he needs to push f4 and king h4, because h4, king g2, king f4 would be the... yes, okay, that's also... and then trying to go for some idea with king e3, rook d2 check. Clearly, white will never let that happen. White will put the king back to f2 when black's king is on f4, and then just wait with the rook, and whenever black plays rook d3, then rook will give a check on the fourth rank, no matter where the rook is.
Yeah, it's really nice what Magnus is doing. He's just covering the second rank, and as soon as black blocks it, then he'll drop back. He won't let the black king in without forcing black first to commit one of the two of the pawns to block another entry path for that black king. So this one, yeah, with Magnus's technique, pretty confident it should be a draw. And Gukesh, he's got close, credit to him, but unfortunately, just it's hard to beat Magnus, especially when Magnus is in defensive mode like this.
Yeah, it's kind of also nice to see Magnus on the defensive, yeah, because we often see his incredible technique when he has the upper hand, and then he squeezes things out, and then one could argue that, okay, it would be interesting to see at one point Magnus at the receiving end, how he handles that situation. And in today's game, we actually get a chance to witness that. And so far, with all this a5 and the liquidation in time trouble, just being time setting up that fortress position, and the game is now heading to a draw.
Yeah, it's an art form, defending these difficult positions against the top players in the world, and it's one that Gukesh, yeah, that's right. So we were predicting a draw. It felt like the winning chances had all disappeared, dwindled. We will see. Yeah, the final position was just completely locked up, and nice touch here. The players discussing the game afterwards. Magnus, oof, he got through a really hairy position there. He was in big trouble, but ultimately defending extremely well.
Yeah, Gukesh was
the future
for sure, but also Gukesh showed tremendous mental strength. Yeah, fighting, pushing Magnus all the way to the limits. I'm truly stunned. And we also see the other prodigy, Pragnanda, bouncing back against Arjun Erigaishi. And I had Arjun in my mind already. That's why suddenly I mixed up the names. Big apologies there. Of course, it's Gukesh who was putting all his efforts in against Magnus, but Magnus finally kept his cool and defended.
Yeah, the way he defended as well, just